Okay, ADV supply. Pretty much if you've already planned ahead for this, this is great. If you haven't planned for this, don't roll. Generally speaking, you don't really go for ADV supplies unless you already planned ahead for it. Reasons why you would roll would be, you know, like you really like this character and you want to rank her up because she's your favorite character. Number two is you're a big spender anyways, and you've already planned for this based on, you know, previous info that this banner was coming. So outside of already planning for this, generally I'm gonna just advise against impulse pulling for this. They've changed a lot of the ADV supplies. All of the ADV supplies now only give stamps, and they don't give individual fragments. In the past, we would have said ADV supplies are not great, but at least you could unlock a battle suit for 50. 50 pulls, but that is no longer the case. So unless you already plan for ADV supply, I do not recommend that you pull on it. Don't pull for her. Wait for a regular expansion if you're trying to unlock. I mean, yeah, if you really like the character and you're trying to unlock her, rolling on this, you could potentially get more rank ups that way, but it's generally not a cost-effective way. Pretty sure the drops are lower than regular expansion, right? If you look at the expansion, drop rate details. Yeah, drop rates on ADV banner are lower than regular expansion. So there's a high chance you could just go all the way. That being said, anecdotally, you could just get her on the first 10 pull. That has happened before. How is SS HOF in this meta? In the current state of the meta, in Memorial Arena, she does have some nice conveniences because her damage output will allow you to meet certain thresholds. In Abyss, I'd say it depends. Oh, spending event is still up. Yeah, that's a good argument. That's a good counter argument. So Gunny brings up a good point. With the spending event still in effect, you could arguably still get more value out of your crystals if you pull on it now than say like a regular ADV banner. But generally, this is, from my perspective, is that this is more of a like high dolphin up through high dolphin up through high whale option. For me, as a low dolphin, I've never felt that much pressure to pull on ADV banners, except for the one time when Kronos dared me to. And that was the one time that I got the battle suit on the ADV banner on the first multi. Or was it a single? I don't even remember at this point. Anyways, I don't advise ADV banner unless you've already planned for it. That was amazing, Gunny. But then Kronos came back and sucked my soul on the on a subsequent banner, which I believe was H2O's gear banner as revenge. Okay, so Aponia we talked about last week. Still one more week left on Aponia. She's got good coverage, but again, generally speaking, at this point, it's like if you've already skipped past her, you only really pull because you really like her as a battlesuit, or you really like her as a character. Otherwise, go with cheaper alternatives and wait for newer battlesuits to come around. Alright, Focus A and Focus B. These are going to be the two major ones. Outfit Supply. Oh yeah, Outfit Supply. Don't forget to do your free pull here, but we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this one. Focus A, I looked at this ahead of time. So, I'd say that this is a good banner to pull if you are gearing your Flamescion. If you're missing at least 2 pieces out of the 4. If you're missing at least 1, it is riskier, but it is, I would say it's still safe to pull in the case that you're missing one piece. Because if you get at least 2 dupes, you can Wishing Well. All right, what are the off rates? Because that's kind of our focus here. Is the like what are the off rates? Well, Falcon Flare is in vogue right now. For specific fights, you probably might not use it that often if you don't actually already have Silverwing. But in terms of usefulness, Falcon Flare is a useful off rate. Of course, I hope you get at least your Key of Radiance, because that is indeed the signature uprate weapon. Surtur, it exists in the exchange shop, so Surtur's kind of hit or miss. It's got great collection value because I know after playing Chapter 9, a lot of people you want to have this weapon, right? After Chapter 9 as a collectible. But maybe you're not caring about collection, so whatever. But Vermilion Knight is being added to Elysian Realm next patch, so Surtur has some value. I saw MG playing with Surtur on Vermilion Knight through Elysian Realm during CN beta, as opposed to using on Utu, so you have options. Basilisk's Image is the modern Lightning Cross if you have Mobius. Maybe you picked up Mobius and you don't have full gear, so getting Basilisks here as an off rate could be useful. That aside, this Basilisk's Image would definitely be one of those like I pick up and I just leave in my inventory until I get Mobius, either further down the line or on the next expansion banner or whatever. Not something you necessarily go out of your way to roll for, right? You never want to go out of your way to roll on off rates on a banner. But this is that's definitely another one where it's like if you get it, you can hang on to it. Nuada's Grief is old meta. I wish it was craftable, but it's not. Again, there are some niche use cases for the Priarm, but again, like, you probably, if you do get Nuada's Grief, you hang on to it, but you wouldn't really Priarm it right away until, like, we had this discussion earlier today on the stream during the WoW segment, but it's even for high spenders, it's very hard to go back for collection purposes. So you're gonna be limited by your SC medals. It's just time gated. I would say probably out of the ones out of this list, Nuada's, like, if you need to sacrifice it for resonators, it's probably the most sacrificable. But I personally, as a Fuhua fan, I would say like just hang on to it for collection. Starlance Prime, it's also in that meh category. Like, Dea Encore, you have her or you don't. And if you don't have her, Starlance, you could use for Valkyrie Gloria, but Valkyrie Gloria has not scaled well 2 years after her release. And even with Priarms, even with her optimized Stigs, you could hang on to it for Valkyrie Gloria for Elysian Realm runs if you still need to level her up to 15. But I think a lot of players, apart from Elysian Realm enthusiasts, you might not really care. Whispers of the Past, also a really useful, I'd say from the off rates, definitely Whispers of the Past and Falcon Flare, and possibly Basilisk's Image. Whispers of the Past is definitely really good if you can off rate it, on the account that the rest of Miss Pink Elf's gear is farmable, craftable, right, grindable. And Whispers of the Past is her only gacha piece. So, really nice if you can off rate this. In terms of the Stigmata, looks like all the old Herrscher gear is up, right? Benares and Welt, they're usable, but not top meta. I'd say in terms of old meta, Benares and Welt are viable placeholders if you're like a relatively new player or you're like a 1-year player and you're still trying to flesh out gaps in your inventory. Benares, especially Benares M and Welt M, both of those are really solid placeholder pieces. Oh, congrats, Neofred. So Neofred's a player who was missing one piece. Was it 110 pull, Neofred? You got it? So yeah. Maybe you get what you're looking for in the 110 pull. Maybe it takes a little bit more than that. I hope if you're rolling on this banner to complete the set, I hope it goes in your favor. Bronya Nex is also in Focus B, but Bronya Nex, it's a pretty decent placeholder on a few ice battle suits, but it's not like it's not top meta. But at least it affords you a relatively modern Stigmata set as you're farming your way through Willows. I think nowadays full set Willows is the preferred solution for generic ice. But Bronya next, if you can get top and bottom, that's also just really strong. I think there's a condition for combo though. Like one of the pieces has a conditional on combo, and I think the set bonus might be conditional on combo. I'll have to review that, and you can also read it in the collection. Shui Jing, old meta, situationally still useful. A couple of double S fights here and there, you still see it used for Fervent Tempo and HOS. Shui Jing, I believe, is craftable starting next patch though. So value on Shui Jing is like you could live without it if you don't off-rate it, you know. But if you do off-rate it, I would hang on to at least one set. It's generally the safe way to play. Oh yeah, back on Benares. Benares MB is generally really nice as like a Goemon G3 alternative back in the day. Nowadays, like, you would just craft into handle, right? You would just craft your Goemon into handle. And then Welt. Welt TM situationally still super strong if you're willing to babysit the rotation, but Welt T Willows MB would be your intermediate ideal for Herrscher of Reason until you get full Willows. So those are just kind of the use cases for these off rates. Ideally, you just get the missing piece that you're looking for on your first, 10 to 30 pulls, and then just call it a day. Go back to saving crystals for a future patch. I would say at this point, like, if you're low budget or free to play, if you're not rolling on these banners because you've already planned to roll on these banners, you should just be saving for 6.4. 6.3 if you're a Bronya enthusiast, but 6.4 if you're a generic player. Generic player. If you're not whaling, and just to give an example, on my NA account, not spending on that account, I will just be skipping 6.2 and 6.3. I will just be hard saving for 6.4. And then I will re-evaluate and see if I need to go back for Herrscher of Truth from 6.3 at a future time. It's a very conservative style of crystal management, but, with the current release schedule and release pace, it's what I gotta do. Alright, Focus B, I looked at this earlier today. Focus B, so Silverwing gear. Some of you, maybe you're still missing that M piece, because you went all this way and said, oh, I only need TB and I can stick Parry M or Welt M on the M slot and I get 95% what I need. If that's you, I say just keep scuffing along. Don't risk it. Yes, it would be nice to get the missing piece, but I don't think it's worth the risk. And I'll tell you why as we look at these off rates. Overall, this is great, right? If you have Silverwing, this is great. If you don't have Silverwing, this is an easy skip. Skip Focus B. Now, the second reason you should skip, even if you do have Silverwing, and you do have top and bottom for your Stigmata, and you already have the weapon, then the off rates are pretty bad compared to Focus A. Hyper Railguns is craftable, but even though it's craftable, it's not meta, and the Priarm is old meta, and it's even on my main account, I still haven't had a good time to go back to max my positrons. So Hyper Railguns is out. Star Shatterer Vikrant. Cool in theory, but it also exists in the option box from top-up rewards. So if you're a low spender, you'll eventually just get the option to get Vikrant eventually. And it's an off rate, right? So it's not something that you're necessarily looking for. We're not really using Drive Cometa as much in the meta anymore. You could just throw a generic laser or, Markov type A on your Drive Cometa and just get similar results nowadays. Like nowadays, you just run Griseo with Carol. You just skip Vikrant. It was good in the old meta. Nowadays, not not really useful. Swan Lake also appears in that same option box from top up. Swan Lake also exists in the exchange shop. So with Fervent Tempo not really that used, and Sleeper's Dream not really that meta unless you already own 2 copies of Sleeper's Dream, Swan Lake's priority is now not that great. 11th Relic also available in exchange shop. The rest of these are just kind of old meta, and Eos Gloria, if you really want Eos Gloria, it exists in Battle Pass as a collectible. I did that because I don't really need it. I didn't really need anything else from that. But Eos Gloria is definitely not something that you go out of your way for. And apart from saving it for collection, Eos Gloria is probably one of the most salvage convertible, right? You want to convert, not salvage to a cube, but convert into resonators. Eos Gloria is probably the most convertible of the bunch out of this list. Scotty, okay, Scotty, if you do off-rate it, Scotty is a nice placeholder scythe as a gacha scythe for any scythe user. It's got flat total damage, useful as a stat stick for any scythe user. Apart from that, it's better than Onyx Iron. Apart from that, it's only really for Argent Knight enthusiasts. And if you're an Argent Knight enthusiast, chances are you might have already tried to get Scotty from the exchange shop. Overall, these off rates aren't anything remarkable. So it just adds high risk to your rolls if you are trying to gear up your Silverwing. I just don't recommend this banner. This banner is just not good. The Stigmata JST is craftable, so like JST is probably the most useful out of this. Maybe Parry M, but Parry M is craftable as a G2. Edgar Allan Poe is craftable as a G3. JST is craftable as a G2, and then Searing Ascendant exists in an exchange shop. So all the off rates in this banner are very low value. Yes, if you're a new player spending rush speed spending to catch up, they are situationally useful until you get better gear. Sure, I can that's a maybe. But in that case, I would just recommend that you just save your resources and just try to roll on a more a better banner. Yeah, you roll on a more cost-effective banner that just has better off rates. So when you do end up with an off rate, it's something that's more useful. So final verdict: Focus A is a maybe, Focus B is an easy skip. Outfit supply: if you do have Flamescion, or if you do decide you're whale enough to roll on ADV to get a double S Flamescion, I do highly recommend this outfit for Kiana if you are spendy enough to afford it, or you have the crystal saved up for it. This is absolutely one of the best outfits in the game if you're a Kiana fan, if you do own Flamescion. It is possible to get the outfit on the 5th pull, which effectively means you could, but not guaranteed, to get the outfit in, was it 2400 crystals when we did it? That being said, the chances of getting it on the 5th pull are obscenely low. Alright? 5th drop is a 0.5% chance. Most players will get it on the 9th or 10th drop. If you're lucky, you could get it on the 5th to 8th drop. But if you do that, then you maybe suffer from success, because I know some players, they're actually looking forward to this rank up stamps. HOV double S does give a Dorm buff for physical damage, and VK does give fire damage. That being said, these are farmable, and Argent Knight is farmable through Witch Orbs. Zero of 4 without outfit is greater than 4 of 4 without outfit. Only if you're a collector. Yeah. But don't forget, at least your first pull is free. So we're gonna go ahead and grab that first pull, see what we get. Stamina potion. So stamina potion's pretty generic. I think for the first pull, I would say that Ancient Willpower or the option box would be a win. I don't think you can get legacies on the first pull, can you? I guess you can get any of these in the first pull. So anything that's not resonators and the option box, you have a chance on the first pull. So yeah, I'd say if you get willpower, the option box, or the legacies, or even the outfit tickets, because remember, outfit tickets technically have crystal and B chip value. So outfit ticket or focus tickets. If you get the focus tickets early, that's a pretty good rebate. Now, would I recommend rolling all the way? Only if you're committed to go all the way. It's not good if you only pull halfway in and then you decide, oh, I'm not gonna pull anymore. I personally feel like if you're gonna pull, you either do the free pull and stop, or you go all the way. Yeah, it's so Zamasu in the chat says that they got Ancient Legacy on the first pull last time. So yeah, 0.6% chance on that. I hope for the majority of you watching this video that hopefully you get legacies, or maybe the focus tickets. Focus tickets on the first pull would be amazing. But 0.3 chance on that one, and that about covers the available banners on global. If you're not sure, just save. If you don't have a direct need to roll on any of these banners, just save. Get your free pull on this and then just go back to saving. The release schedule has been hectic this year, and it remains hectic going into next year. So if you're low budget, if you're free to play, just be patient. Just be patient and just keep doing your dailies and weeklies. Yeah. If you are in a position where you do need to roll on one of these banners, try and figure out how badly do you need it. Like, if you're missing the B piece on Flamescion's gear and you have at least the top piece, I would consider the risk, right? Like, I would weigh the options. I think getting at least the B piece is important for Flamescion's gear. In the case of Silverwing's gear, I would say, like, if you're just missing the M piece, that's an easy skip. Not a hard skip, but like that's an easy skip. In this case though, like, maybe you're only missing the M piece and you luck out like Neo Fred. But, you know, Neo Fred's pulls could have also gone really badly. So you kind of have to just weigh the options and how risk averse are you. If you are trying to decide what you want to pick from the option box, HOV and Vermilion Knight are the ones that give an offensive Dorm buff where it actually increases your damage output. Argent Knight, I think you only pick if you're trying to unlock for collection, but HOV and HOV stamps are probably the most valuable because HOV and the stamps have Ancient Legacy equivalency. Whereas Vermilion Knight is now farmable with willpowers. In the past, I would have picked Vermilion Knight first, right? But now, Vermilion Knight is completely farmable by willpower. Argent Knight is farmable through Gold Witch Orbs, which is a little bit harder which is a slower process. But Argent Knight's Dorm buff is a defensive one, which basically puts its value very, very low. And unless you're a Rita enthusiast, unless you're an Argent Knight enthusiast, there is very little reason to pick Argent Knight from this. Now, if you already have HOV and Vermilion Knight at S0 and you just want to unlock Argent Knight for the collection, that's understandable, that's reasonable. You should not feel bad about doing that. However, that just delays your farming for the rest, which, you know, if you're playing for collection, chances are your time horizon's very high. And that's pretty much it, right? My vote is to go for HOV out of these three. Get the HOV stamps, Everything else you could potentially slow farm or wait for another chance to get. And all three are available in dorm supply too, so maybe if you're sitting on dorm tickets like I am, maybe next spending event you could potentially pull one of them, you know, could pull one of them from dorm as an alternative option to the option box. That about, I think that about covers it, right? Did I forget anything?